Hi, this is Henry Penix with The Frequency Effect. I'm here with Sheryl Chinowth, a friend and a very well-respected businesswoman. She's won about every award you can think about in real estate. Oklahoma Magazine's Best of the Best in the World from the Tulsa world. She started with a one shop, 25 realtors, has grown it to 700, over 700 realtors in 15 locations. And she's just been on fire. So we finally got her to get into Tulsa and agree to sit down and share some of those secrets that she has used to build such a successful business and life. So guys, you're going to want to see this. Tune in. Let's get at it.
This is a Soaak podcast.
Welcome to The Frequency Effect, sponsored by Soaak Technologies, where inspiration fuels innovation. Join our experts as they elevate your mind, body, and spirit, one conversation at a time. This is The Frequency Effect.
Sheryl, great to see you.
Good to see you, Henry.
Yeah. I'm so glad you were able to make it. And I've been so excited about this interview. I'm rarely early, but I was early today.
Oh, goodness.
So, yeah. I would kind of like to follow this theme of body, mind, and spirit. Mm-hmm. Body, mind, and spirit. So you guys look at her accolades in the show notes. They're too numerous to mention all of them. One of the biggest ones I forgot to say in the intro was you were one of the top 50 most influential, powerful women's real estate person in the nation. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. That blew me away.
Yeah, blew me away.
You're just sitting here doing business, and all of a sudden they say, "Guess what?"
Yeah.
Wow.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Me. How did you get notified? How did that happen? And then we'll jump into the body, mind, spirit.
Well, it's Swanepoel, which is they monitor. They're kind of like Consumer's Digest across the nation. They track everything as well as Real Trends and Housing Wire and companies like that. And they just notified, they just called and said, we'd like to have someone come out and take your picture, and you've been ranked one of the top 50 women in the nation. And I was blown away. I was really, really surprised. I've done a lot on a national level. Right. I serve on a lot of national boards and do a lot of national speaking. Right. And they had tracked me for several years, and they're very respected. Group that just really seems to do well at tracking what's going on across the nation.
They don't put out any fluff. It's by the numbers.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, congratulations for that.
Well, thank you.
In looking at body, mind, spirit, I want to start with body. Body, in my definition, is how do you take care of yourself? Like, for what you've done over the span of years that you've done it at the top level in the nation, obviously, it takes attention to detail, to what you eat, what you think about, and we're going to get into the mind spirit part later, but what you eat. Do you walk every day? What's a typical morning like when you wake up? Like I'm curious. You're in amazing shape. You came in here with all this energy and vitality. You look amazing. I told you that before the show. How do you do it? I mean, this didn't happen overnight.
Actually, I had a lot of really good genetics, and was lucky with that. When I started the company, I went 4 years and had a swimming pool in my backyard. I never got in. I worked, slept maybe 4 or 5 hours a night. Worked, a lot of hours. Right, and as the company grew, my time got smaller and smaller. And about 6 years ago, of course, I have 2 sons that came into the business. That helped a lot. Right. But about 6 years ago, every year I'd go to the doctor, and my husband Lee, he'd go to the doctor and your cholesterol high, this is wrong and that's wrong. You need to exercise more. And I would go, and she would say, everything looks good, but you're eating something every day that's the same amount of fat, but your body doesn't hold it. So what is it though? She said, I'm curious. And I said, oh, I eat a Hershey bar with almonds for breakfast every morning.
Oh, no.
She said, have you heard of yogurt? And I went, yeah, it doesn't taste as good.
Hershey bar.
So, and that went on for a long time, and it worked really well. But as the company
That's awesome.
company grew, it became more and more stress. And we're so close to so many of the people in our company, and they all become like family to us.
Of course.
And then I went for a yearly checkup, and she said to me, Sheryl, what's happened? She said, I would say, looking at all your reports and everything, that you have a spouse that's terminal, but your husband's my patient, and I know he's okay. So your body's crashing and burning. So what's happening? And I go, nothing. And she goes, well, what has changed? And I said, nothing. And I said, she said, well, tell me what your day's like. And so when we went through it, she said, you're working 2 full-time jobs, and then you're at the hospital, or you're at a baby shower, or you're at weddings, or you're helping the people that work in your company in crisis. Someone that's been in their family that's been in an accident, or a child that's on drugs,
And you're there.
And I'm there
You
every
don't have
night.
an off switch, basically.
I didn't have an off switch. And so I was still just doing the 4 or 5 hours sleep a night, but I was getting older, and my body was starting to show the wear and tear. And she said to me, you need to get out. You need to retire. It's your health. So I called my brother I'm really close to, who lived in Kansas City at the time, and I told him, and he said, you cannot not do real estate. But he goes, I need to think about this overnight. And so he called me the next day, and he said, this is what you need to do to get back in shape. You're not a psychiatrist, and you're not a doctor, and you're not a minister. And he said, you need to hire and put on staff a minister. And then you're going to have to learn to say, I will be there, or I will send someone. And then,
Got it.
Because it was really getting it. My 2 sons were doing the same thing.
Sure.
We all are so involved with our people, and we just weren't.
Right. Yeah, you've got a family of 700.
Yeah, so we weren't taking enough time, and
Wow.
so we hired a minister, put a minister on staff, and then my brother said, and you've got to quit driving to your trips. We go to Santa Fe for 5 days, and we spend 1 day driving there and 1 day driving back. That's only 3 days off, and he's like, you've got to figure out and get some jet time and fly back and forth and get more days off, try to get 5 in a row. And so that's what we did, and we changed it all, and in a year or 2, I was back into 100 miles an hour, but I'd learned,
You'd recovered.
I learned, and I changed my diet some, and I quit eating. I went to half a Hershey bar instead of a full Hershey bar.
Still with almonds, though, so you get the good fat.
That's what I told her.
That hit
protein.
me after you said it. Yeah. Wow.
Right,
Well, without getting too personal, our audience loves to hear just a typical, like when you got things back on track and you're overcoming sort of a burnout. Was it a couple of eggs in the morning? Was it granola? Do you eat 3 times a day? Are you sleeping more than 4 or 5 hours? I'd like to get a little deeper into that, and then I want to move on to the next.
Yeah, I get a little bit more sleep now. I am yogurt, oatmeal, fruit. I cut out bacon. I mean,
Right.
I really, that was my biggest worst food.
Achilles heel.
I mean, we had a term at our sales meetings and our parties and everything. Bacon gets it done. And
Right,
so, like,
and that was you.
every breakfast that we had bacon. Every
Right.
party we had bacon, and so
Right.
we cut that all out. And
Right.
just trying to live a little healthier. And if you get, and I've got a couple of dogs, and I walk them a couple miles a day.
Oh,
So I walk
2 miles
quite
a
a
day.
bit.
That's a lot.
Walk a couple miles a day, and I'm pretty. I wouldn't say I'm a good golfer, but I like to play golf. So whenever I get free time, I'm on the golf course.
Nice. So you get all your movement in and all that. And are you sleeping a little more than 4 hours now, or are you?
I'm still probably I'm probably getting closer to 6, but I've never been an 8-hour a night person. I can do it more in the winter, but if it's daylight, I'm up, and I don't want to go to it's got to be dark or I'm not even interested.
Right. Yeah, I was
sleep.
talking to somebody the other day about my sleep patterns, and I'm a 6 to 7 hour a night, and I feel great. My sister, she's an 8 to 10 hour, or she's a bear. I mean, I couldn't imagine sleeping that long. I had an architect. He was over $4 billion worth of architectural things that he was building at one point in time, and he could not sleep more than 4 hours a night.
I was that way for years.
But he got up and functioned better than anybody. Like it wasn't a thing. So I think everybody's different. I think you got to find your own,
pattern.
May not be 4, but it may be 5 for you, and it may not be 10, but it may be 7 or 8 for another person. And you got to. It's individual to the person.
And I'm an on and off person. I'm on going 100 miles an hour, or I'm asleep.
Or you're totally out.
Yeah, there's not anything in between, and that can be really hard for people that live with you or live around you, or my staff.
Right.
We had a business coach for years, and she would say, that level of intensity of going all the time, you have to understand, you got to walk out and let your staff take over for a bit and give them a break. And my sons, I remember one time we used to have a place up at the lake, and we were up there one weekend, and my younger son got up 7 o'clock in the morning and went and got a Red Bull. And I went, it's 7 o'clock in the morning and you're going to drink a Red Bull? And he goes, I'm at the lake with you.
I'm at the lake with the Red Bull. No, oh my God. That is so funny. Wow. Okay, so one of the last questions with the body part, do you take any supplements? Do you wind down and get no screen time at night, like what they tell you to do when you're trying to get a good night's sleep? Any of that? Do you practice or no?
I jump in bed, I'm asleep. I'm out really
what,
quick.
You just are off.
Yeah, I'm off. If I hold still, I'm out.
Right.
And Prevagen. I started taking Prevagen in the last couple years, and I think that seems to help. Seems to give me a little bit more energy. I don't know if that's what it's for, but I didn't know if I just had too much on my mind all the time. But I just decided, I see it advertised. It looks like let's try to hold on to many of those brain cells as we can.
Yeah. Give it a shot. Well, that's awesome. I think our viewers will really like hearing that. Because you're just the epitome of success, and just the way you've handled things has been just so awesome. Like you're one in a million. So okay, that's body. Let's go to mind. So the mindset that you needed to have, I would imagine, being a woman in real estate who's running her own business and kind of growing this thing from nothing. Like, can you track the mindset you had and give me a little preview into that over the years and how you overcame obstacles, maybe throw in a big obstacle you had to overcome to help take that next step to where you are today? Some of those things?
We didn't start the company to be this size. I came from a real estate family, and, I had pretty much captured a pretty large section of the luxury market. And when we started Chinowth Cohen, it was to be a boutique, a luxury boutique.
Right.
And I sold a lot of real estate and had made a lot of friends with a lot of top producing agents. And we opened within a week. We had 25 agents on board. But when I realized it was a God thing, you know how many times you hear 40 days in the Bible, 40 days and 40 nights. And it really hit me on the 40th day, we signed on the 40th agent.
No kidding.
And I really felt like it was God saying, just let me go, let me do this,
Right.
So
this is going to happen.
So then, Lee Cohen, he's the CFO. And so we kept having the same, talking about obstacles. We kept having the same fight. That's how we hired the business coach, because we were arguing the same thing and didn't understand what we were, just different mindsets, didn't understand each other's mindset. And we hired a business coach, and she said, you guys are having the same discussion over and over and over, and you're on opposite sides of it. And she said, the discussion is horses and stables. And I said, okay. And she said,
What does that mean?
She said, yeah, you keep saying to Lee, the horses are coming. And Lee says, get the horses here and I'll build the stables. I'm like, no, I need more space. I need more offices. I need more equipment. I need more staff. I need more marketing, growth. And he's like, I need to catch up. I need to catch up and build it out
Show
in
me
a
that
way
and I'll
where
build
we're
the stables. And you're saying I need the stables before I can bring you that.
Yes. And so we kind of learned over time, that was our argument on almost everything in every point of our life. But we had 125 agents by the end of the first year. And, in the middle of the second year, Lee comes in to my office one day and he says, okay, now we're in deep water. I go, what do you mean we're in deep water? And he said, well, small real estate companies, boutique companies, they do well. Big companies, because you're able to buy things in mass and offer things and do
Economy
things.
of scale and all that.
Yeah, economy of scale. They do okay. But the ones in the middle die.
We're right in the middle.
And he goes, we're right in the middle. So,
my
Sheryl, you
gosh.
have to decide, back it down, or what are you going to do? And I said, I think as long as these agents are all coming on and signing on, I think we need to just let God take control, and he tells us when to stop.
Lee, I think you need to start building more stables. Really?
Yes, yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you had the mindset of kind of let go and let God. And people just kept coming and signing up and wanted to be part of your organization. And
So we started in 2004 and 2008. Remember, it was a big crash.
right.
I didn't even realize we were having a crash for a long time. And because but we went to a party one night at a developer's home, and there were a lot of bank people and a lot of title companies there. And I walked into that party thinking everything was okay, and walked out and told Lee, we're about to hit a wall.
Right,
I mean,
right.
we're about to crash and burn. And but what happened during that 2008-2009 time period was a lot of top producing agents. And this is one of the things that Real Trends and Riz Media and Swanepoel have tracked that told us what is different about our company than most companies across the nation. And it's that top producing agents want to move there. Top producing agents want to be, a part of it. Right. So when we got into 2000,
you're the best. You're considered the best.
Yeah, and
they perceive you as the best.
Well, we supply so much more. There's different types of real estate companies, and ours is one that is built to bring business into the company, into the agents, make sure that the sellers and the public, the buyers, are all protected on it's so much is done for everyone to make sure that everyone else is okay. Right. We're not a real estate company that says you're your own business, go out and bring in, and we'll charge you for signs, and we'll charge you for this, and we'll charge you for that.
Yeah.
So real estate companies either make the agent the profit center and what they can charge them, or like us, we make the real estate business the profit center. And so the more real estate that you help bring in and develop, the better the agents everyone does. And then we make sure they're
taken care of.
Have the education, the quality, and the training, the integrity, to uphold that. And so, the best one to be with the best. So then when we were already, we were in our second or third year, and we get a call from Real Trends, the owner of Real Trends, Steve Murray, nationally known figure in the industry. And I didn't know who he was. And he called and he said, Sheryl. And I said, yes. And he says, Steve Murray with Real Trends. And I said, yes. And he goes, what are you doing? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, you're pinging every radar across the country. What are you doing?
No, from Oklahoma.
From Tulsa. He goes, you're not New York, you're not Dallas, you're not San Francisco. What are you doing?
Wow.
And he flew Lee and I out to Denver, to their headquarters. And then, we became really, really close friends with him. And he's flown in a few times, and he now knows their whole family, the boys, and every personal friend. If I call him, last time I called him, he said, I'm with friends on my deck having wine. What do you need?
Right, yeah. He takes your call.
Yeah. But when 2008, 2009, those agents that had a lot of business had time to move. Before that, they were just so swamped with their business. It
yeah.
was hard for them to, regroup and make
pause
a move.
long enough to
Pause
move
long
if they
enough
wanted
to
to.
move.
Yeah.
And so I didn't realize that we were in a bad economy. I mean, I was hearing it, but I'm like, well, it's not affecting us. We're okay. And I walked in, and they're like, you're the only one we see with business coming through the bank and through the title companies and mortgage companies. And I walked out and told Lee, I said, this could be really bad. But we never felt it.
I was going to ask, did it ever hit you?
No, the last 3 years has been the worst ever for all real estate companies throughout the nation.
Right.
And I think, that has gradually changed. But, real estate runs on a 14-year cycle. In 2022, we had 2008. And then 14 years later, 2022. So our next big hit will be 2036. And between now, we just do these cycles that kind of go up and a little bit down, kind of up and a little bit down.
Ebb and flow.
Until 2036.
Yeah. Wow.
So and I've learned so much of that. And, through all of these national boards I sat on. And Steve Murray spent a lot of time with us as a family. And he calls Lee and Taylor recruiting gorillas, and he's ranked them in the top two, both of them in future leadership of the nation.
Right. No kidding.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Wow.
Someone asked me the other day, they said, hey, I have a friend started a real estate company, has 2 sons, and do you have any advice I could give them? And I said, yeah, send one all the way through medical school and the other one all the way through law school. And have them run your real estate company.
They need that fallback. Yeah, wow. That's I knew none of this. Like I'm so excited.
I can't believe all our conversations that you've just forgotten some of it.
No, well, I've used your company a few times for both residential and commercial. And before I even knew you, I had a fairly sizable development that I was doing, and I remember what stood out to me was, first I wanted to find the best agency that I could in this area, and you were one of the only names that came in that were at the top of the top. There were a couple, but you always were just a little better, and you did things, in my opinion, in more of an excellent way. Like you always kept excellence at the forefront. But I remember that you and Lee, your husband, came out to the property that I was going to develop, and we were out there walking raw land.
Right.
And you were assessing, saying, yeah, I think this could go there and that could go there, and we would come back and kind of draw it up, and you didn't have to do any of that. We had no signed contract, we had nothing, and you were just there to give me that advice, and I never forgot that on any house that I've listed or commercial endeavor, even when it's been very competitive and people promise you the moon. Like, my allegiance has always been to you guys because I've seen it in practice before we even knew each other, before any of that. Like, I was actually wondering, who are these 2 people coming out? And it was you guys. Mm-hmm. And you don't see that.
Yeah. Leland, my oldest son, walked it with us too.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. No. Yeah. You had the family out there looking at it, and that meant so much to me. So the mindset of success, and the mindset, I would imagine, of you not backing down, not being scared, not, and when you made the statement, let go, let God, or I made that statement, but that's what you were explaining to me. Did that take a lot of the worry and fear away from your mind, even though you saw it? Like, I know the day-to-day stuff can be daunting, especially going from 25 agents to 700. Like, was there ever a time that you doubted it and that you kind of took a half a step back, where you kind of got into your own head? And if you did, how did you get out? Or were you just always fast forward, throw away the rear view mirror because I'm not looking back? Like, where did you fit in there?
I have a very strong faith base.
Sure.
And Lee and I kept saying, this company's for something else. I just can't figure out what it is. And what is this company for? And why is it growing at the pace? And why are we, on this national level and being recognized? This company is for something else. It's a conduit. We just don't know what the conduit is yet. And about 5 or 6 years in, we had hired someone that came in the management team, and the management team said, I know what the know I've talked to enough of your agents and staff to know, why you did this company and what it is, and it's to help people. And I said yes, and they said, because there's a thing throughout your company that says I'm going to help you, but you can't tell anyone. So I've had a lot of the people that come up and go, I'm going to tell you, but don't tell anyone. This is what they did for me. And then someone else came up, and someone else came up, and someone else came up, and I said, okay, I need to know the names of those people.
Right, exactly.
We've told them not to tell. No, am I going to tell you? But I know, and that's. And then we won the International Philanthropy Award from Who's Who in Luxury Real Estate. And it was a worldwide event, and we had no idea we were even up for the event. And it was in Atlanta, Georgia. And when we won that, I was sitting next to Lee, and we had been in 3 conferences in a row, and I was exhausted. And I was leaning next to Lee, and they were going, in this person in this company did this, and I go, we did that, and this person in this company did this. I go, we've done that, and I was just really tired. It's like, I need to get out of here and go to bed.
Yeah.
And so about 3/4 of the way through, I go, we did that. Lee goes, Sheryl, I think you've won the award.
Are you serious?
And when we won the International Philanthropy Award, and a man came up to me afterwards, and I didn't know him, but he was someone with an owner somewhere in the world of a real estate company. He came up and he goes, I listened to everything that they said that you've done, and this is the biggest compliment I feel like I've ever been given in my life. He said, and I was sitting there listening to everything they were saying, and I realized your company is a ministry running as a real estate company.
Wow.
And Lee and I talked about that, and we said, that's what the company's for.
Wow.
That's what the company's for.
And that's the greatest compliment you could have ever
The greatest
received.
Compliment I ever could have received.
Wow, Sheryl. Well, you're leading right into the body, mind, now the spirit, and we've touched on it, but let's get a little deeper into that. And I know from our platform, I never subscribe to a particular religion, so I won't ever talk about religions. I mean, yes, if you grew up Protestant or Catholic or whatever, I understand that. My father was a minister, so I grew up in the church, and I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. But in terms of your relationship with God, and I make Christ at the center of everything that I do, every decision that I make. But with your relationship with God, tell me a little how that started. Did you always have a relationship with God? Did you go through a time of rebellion? How did it start?
My mother kept all of us kids in Sunday school and church every chance that she could, and grew up in church. And I was about 4 years old, and the director of music of our church grabbed my mother to the side and said, this girl has an unbelievable voice. And I sang at churches, lots of places. I sang
kidding.
Gospel. In fact,
I didn't know that either.
Oh, yeah. And Chinowth and I are really close. And she came out and spent a week with me in Santa Fe, and we were singing till like 2 o'clock in the morning. She got up the next morning and she said, Sheryl, you have to sing. And I said, no. She goes, no, I'm going to get with my people, and you need to. And I went, Kristen, if I were supposed to be singing, I'd be Kristen Chinowth. Right. That reminds me of another funny story. She said to me one time, she said, Sheryl, I know your real estate company's doing really, really well. And I said, how do you know that, Kristen? She said, because I came in and I was shopping, and I gave them my credit card to check out, and they said, are you the real estate lady?
Are you? Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
So
she was mistaken for you, not you mistaken.
The other way around.
Wow.
Most of the time, I get they go, "Are you the real Chinowth?" And I'll go, "No, I'm not Kristen." No.
But in that case, it was, "Are you the real estate lady?" Wow, so cool. So you started at an early age in church every time your mom could get you in church. And did you then go around singing in churches, or how? And how was your relationship with God during that? And did you ever have a rebellious period?
I wouldn't say I ever had a rebellious period, but I had a frustration. I sang in a lot of, I was director of a musical for 16 churches for their children, or all the children from 16 different churches in my 20s. And I sang with Up With People. I mean, I did a lot of musical things, but the frustration I felt was I never felt like I heard from God. And people would come and say, I heard from God. I still have trouble with that when
God
someone
told me
says,
this, God
told
told
me
me that.
this, God told me that. And I was like, I'm doing all this singing and I'm doing all of this work in the churches and everything. And I never really heard him speak to me.
You think he would say something
Something.
by now?
Yes, yes. And I really didn't feel that until I started this company. And I mean, I wasn't even going to start a company. It was door shut, door open, door shut, door open. It was like I didn't make the decisions. They were made for me.
Right.
And I really felt like this was the most God thing that ever happened in my life. Even all the time I spent in churches, all the music I did, and all the singing and everything that I did when I started Chinowth Cohen, and the people that were coming and the things that we were able to, the conduit it did become. And, I just really felt
it's like you couldn't stop it.
It was like I couldn't stop it, and it was just not me. It wasn't me. It was being done through me.
The Spirit.
And it was it was helping so many people. And I've had so many assessments done on me, and every assessment says you don't work for money. And the day that you come to work and they tell you can't help people, that's your last day. That's when you'll quit.
Gosh.
So I do enjoy that part of it.
What a great compliment. I always feel that from you whenever we talk. We don't talk often, but when we do, it's like I've known you forever. And I think you have that effect on probably everybody you talk to.
Oh,
they feel comfortable in your presence, and they feel that, I think, that spiritual connection, as well.
I feel like I am who I am all the time. You may not like what I have to say, or might not like my ideas, or we might not see eye to eye, but you aren't going to have to guess what I'm thinking.
You're the real, raw Sheryl Chinowth.
All the time. So sometimes I wish I could stop that, but.
Right. No, I get it. So no rebellion, singing through the church, always had a great relationship with God. And then as you started Chinowth and Cohen, about how old were you then, just for our audience, when you started?
I don't want to tell you that. In my 40s. How's that?
No, that's fine. No, because I have no frame of reference. I thought it could have been in your 20s or your 30s or your 40s.
I worked in my father's real estate company in my 20s and worked with him for about 15 years.
Yeah.
In his company.
Because starting a company in your 40s is even a bigger deal than I knew or I thought, because a lot of people already have their mind made up of what they're going to do.
I had no plans to start a real estate company. I did not have a plan to start it. No.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, and then so you started it, you kept the spirituality part going, which you've alluded to that through this whole podcast, and God just started opening doors that this thing was going to grow with or without you, basically. Like it was going to happen.
Right.
And then Lee, through you meeting Lee and marrying Lee and all of that, was he on the same page with you there, or was he a little different? Or because from what I know of Lee, he's a little more analytical. Like he wants to know the facts, the basics, the numbers, and you're like, hey, it's going to happen. This is my faith. It's happening. The horses are coming to build the stable.
So the analysis that have been done on Lee and I together is that I'm the A and the D, and he's the B and the C.
Okay.
So I see the beginning, and I see how it's going to play out and where it's going to end. But for me to go back and go step, but he is the B and the C. So I go, Lee, this is how it's going to look. This is how it's going to start. This is what we're going to do.
Right.
And then I'll go real fast through the B and the C, and this is how it's going to look like at the D.
Right.
And then he goes back and works and figures out the B and the C.
Make sure that the B and C connect the A to the D. That's perfect.
It works very well.
And does he feel that way, since we're on the topic of the spirituality part? Does he feel that same way spiritually? I mean, is he...
So, Lee's Jewish.
Okay.
Okay. He is messianic.
Okay.
So he is a believer.
Okay.
So, and he was a believer, before
In Christ.
we started Chinowth and Cohen.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I wouldn't have been able to marry him if he hadn't.
I don't know. Yeah, right, because of their customs and traditions and all of that. Wow. So you have been through so much, but it all just worked perfectly together for your good to now put you in the seat you're in today.
I was selling a minister's house one time, and he said to me, the interesting thing about you and Lee is you learn the Father through Lee, and Lee learns the Son through you.
Wow. That is super cool. Wow. That blows my mind.
Very blessed. I've been very, very blessed. It's the greatest thing that ever happened to me.
Even you two were brought together to learn from each other.
Yes.
Just as it was fate and your future and your destiny. I believe in destiny. It was your destiny to start that company as a ministry to others, really. It was also your destiny to meet someone like Lee and have the relationship that you guys have had through this whole time.
Right. And we were just business partners for a long time, and both the boys came into the company. They're both in the company, and they're going, you two are made for each other. If you would just take your eyes off the company for 5 minutes and look at each other. And I would say to them, that's not going to happen. And they'd say, why not? And I go, because I starve to death if this doesn't make it. And this is my business partner.
Right.
So
right. You
no,
can't screw it up.
You can't mess this up.
Wow. So you were resistant to form the relationship, and everybody around you could kind of see it, except you.
Right. And so we had this business coach for a few years. And when
That's hilarious.
We went out for a date, and Lee goes, do you think we should tell her? And I go, I think we should, because coach, she's going to figure it out at some point anyway. So we told her, and she says, praise God, I finally figured it out. Everybody else around you had it figured out.
Wow. And that was a miracle, that, just like your businesses. So we've covered body, mind, spirit. I think you've given people a great look at what makes up Sheryl Chinowth. She's the same person in this chair as she will be if you see her out on the street. And to have an original, amazing person that has got to your level and gives God the glory like you have in a ministry of helps is just, in my opinion, the pinnacle. Like, that's the highest you can get in life.
Thank you. I told him, you keep giving me the awards, and I'll keep giving you the accolades.
How do you come up with these? I'm going to have to write these down. If you see those on our website with Sheryl Chinowth, that is awesome. You give me the words, I'll give you the accolades. I love that. We a lot of things that we've been doing with Soaak. I've had the privilege of being on a few podcasts that are very far-reaching. People that invited me to their podcast, and there have been instances where I'm able to tell of miracles that have happened with me in my body, my relationship with Christ on some of these podcasts that would never mention Christ, that are very more tech driven, because of the nature of our company and all of that. But every time I get through one of those podcasts and I get that opportunity, and they actually air it, because they could cut it, but they actually air it, and it goes out to millions of people. Like, this will get out to millions of people. But when I see that happening, I know that Soaak is also a ministry of helps and helping others, and that's where our goal is. And if that can open the door to tell somebody about your faith, which is the real reason that you're here, to me, that's the greatest thing in life that could happen.
We went through a period of, not a very small period of time, a few years back, where we had a lot of, we'd bought another company, and we were expanding and growing, and it came up, you pray at your meetings, and you pray at your banquets and your award celebrations, and you pray at those, and not everybody agrees with that or think that you should be doing that.
Right.
That you should, so we talked about it as a family, and I remember Leland said, do we really care what anyone else thinks other than God? So if we want to do what God wants us to do,
right,
we don't condemn anyone for their beliefs. We're
Sure,
accepting of
absolutely.
everyone. But for
Absolutely.
us, this is who we are. And the minute that we are not who we are, that's
Yeah.
when things will change.
Yeah, yeah. And just like you said earlier, I'm the same here. I'm the same on stage. I'm the same no matter where I am. And why should you not be the same during something like having prayer at one of your banquets? So wow. I love that. I've learned so many things from this podcast. We're going to put some great things in the show notes for you guys. If you're ever in the Oklahoma area, ever need a home or whatever, she's got 700 agents that would be glad to help you. And in my opinion, you are the best of the best, not just in what you've achieved from a business standpoint, but as a person, as a woman, as a wife, as a mother. And to me, that's the greatest compliment that anybody could give. And
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I count it an honor in knowing you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I hope you come back.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Anytime.
Thank you for sharing your time with us today. After you've subscribed at Soaak Podcast, please leave us your questions and comments. Remember, your frequency is what you think about most frequently. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.